My name is Justin Tippets, and this is my Comparing Cultures presentation. The culture that I decided to research and talk about today is the Australian culture. The reason I decided on this topic is because I have grown an interest in the culture of North and Northwestern Australia. The areas that I'm going to cover on this topic are the people, geography, climate, and the animals found on the continent. Now first I'm going to talk about the people of Australia, and I'm going to start with the Indigenous Australians. The Indigenous Australians are believed to have migrated to the continent of Australia from Asia and Africa approximately 70,000 years ago. The term used for these people is Aboriginal, which are all the indigenous people of the mainland of Australia and Tasmania. Over the 70,000 years, the indigenous people have dispersed over almost the whole continent of Australia, and have distinguished themselves into hundreds of different groups, with almost all of these groups having different languages. There have been over 400 distinct different groups of Aboriginal people identified on the continent of Australia today. Now for the modern-day people of Australia. The majority of the Australian people today are from the British Isles, or are descendants of British Isle immigrants. Australians, or Aussies, are legally citizens of the Commonwealth of Australia. Some of the famous Australian people that we may know today include Steve Irwin, Keith Urban, and Brendan Clark. Next, I'm going to discuss the geography of Australia. Australia is a unique place due to its diverse geography. Australia is the sixth largest country at 2,967,909 square miles. The continent of Australia consists of 6 different landform divisions. They are the Eastern Highlands, which are strips of grassland on the east coast, the Eastern Alluvial Plains in the southeastern corner of the continent, the Southern Highlands, which are the southern tip and include the Yorke Peninsula, then the Western Plateau, which includes most of the west coast. Then there is the Central Desert, which consists of most of Central Australia. And lastly, there is the Northern Plateau, which covers most of the northern continent. Next, I'm going to discuss the climates of Australia. Over the 6 different landforms, there are deserts, mountains, jungles, dry arid areas with scattered billabongs, beaches, and mangrove swamps. Rainfall on the continent of Australia is variable due to the many factors which include elevation, drought, and the seasons. One thing that Australia is known for is its great diversity of unique wildlife. Australia is home to more than 378 mammal species, 828 bird species, 4,000 species of fish, 300 species of lizards, 140 snake species, 2 croc species, and around 50 types of marine mammals. And out of all of these, more than 80% of these animals are found nowhere else in the world other than Australia. And these animals include kangaroos, koalas, dingoes, and the platypus. These animals aren't the only ones found in Australia, though. There are also many introduced and feral animals on the continent. These animals include camels, wild cattle, foxes, feral goats, Asiatic buffalo, many reptile species, and amphibious species as well. Many of these feral species are destructive to the environment and are taking the place of natural native wildlife in the ecosystem. The most harmful of these feral animals is the feral pig. These animals were introduced to Australia by early explorers as a source of food. When the feral pigs were released onto Australia, they spread like wildfire, causing habitat destruction and spreading disease wherever they went. Now this is an example of a feral pig. The reasons why they are so destructive are because of this strong snout which they have to root up the native vegetation in search of food. They also are omnivorous, which means they eat almost anything. A sow or a female feral pig can have 3 litters a year with up to 10 piglets in each litter. And at a 50% survival rate for these piglets, it's almost impossible to exterminate the feral pig. Feral pigs have a limited amount of predators, and at a mature age, Virtually only the saltwater crocodile can take one down. Now this animal is a boar, or a male feral pig, and they grow these large tusks to protect themselves from predators such as the dingo or the wild dog. And they also grow a large shield of cartilage on their shoulder which protects them, and is capable of taking an arrow and stopping it. And this concludes my presentation of my comparing cultures.